Hey y'all, welcome to the Moving with Millennials podcast with your favorite millennial realtors.
We are 4 top producing agents in the DFW area, and we are ready to share the good, bad, and the real life of real estate.
Whether you're thinking about getting into real estate, already an agent, or just curious about what your agent really does, join us.
Tune in every Wednesday to see what it's really like to be on this side of the transaction.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Moving with Millennials. Today we are talking about all the things we do behind the scenes, because if you haven't heard, we don't just show houses. We do a lot more than that, and this market is crazy right now.
Yeah, I love this episode because I really like the point of the podcast. Part of this was to should give you guys a peek or look into what it's like to be a real estate agent or this side of the transaction. And what I like about this is people think we just do what they see and it's easy money or whatever. I don't know. So, because there's literally, I sent them earlier. Sorry, we have some giggle boxes
now
over here.
What is going on?
Would y'all like to express yourself?
Yeah, do you know what they're laughing
Yeah, I look like Bob Barker.
Okay, good. Now
Okay. We're good.
You do need Botox.
I'm coming back in. So rude. At least I know how to pronounce your hair care.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
all right. Back on topic.
Okay.
We are ready.
Yeah.
We're giving the peek behind the curtain. I chose this name because it's from Wizard of Oz when they see behind the curtain, it kind of takes some of the magic away. I think it's kind of like that, but kind of the opposite for us. I think you'll realize that we do, like you said, 1.3 million things behind the scenes that you probably don't even realize.
I like that because it kind of shows you people just see what happens on HGTV and stuff, that we go out and just show these properties, get a house under contract. I mean, woo, yeah, it's so exciting. I think once you become a real estate agent, that's when you really see that it's not all pretty and it's not all rainbows, and it is tough to do.
The nitty gritty.
Hard job. Yeah, for sure. So.
And I just sent you guys, I sent them over, we found a list. It was 180 things that a realtor does during a real estate transaction, just during the transaction, from pre-listing to after closing. And I feel like our clients really only truly see maybe 25% of that, if that, 25% of what we do. So we're going to give you guys some behind the scenes.
Yeah, we won't talk about the 180 things, but we're going to talk about the top 10. And the first one is creating marketing materials on multiple channels. So social media, marketing listings, buyer needs, creating and posting content for our social media. Educational content, home buyer tips, home seller tips.
I mean, we're constantly creating educational. I think that's a huge part of what our content is online and stuff, is, giving you guys as much information up front to be prepared to buy, prepared to sell, kind of also show you, I wouldn't say show our value, but to show you what we're doing.
What we do on a daily basis.
And we also do, people don't realize we're running our own small business. Only we have to be the ones that focus on its growth. So we also do all of our proof of success posts and things like that. We do, all of our just listed, just solds, under contracts, all those. We constantly have to making sure that people know that we're working, and so that is part of it, is being able to post those things.
Right, and talking about just what we're seeing in the market, and on stories all the time, I'll not only explain what I'm doing to show that I'm working, but wins, but also losses. And I feel like we've covered that before, but just so people know, I wrote 3 offers the other day and got all 3 of them rejected. So it's people need to know that they're not the only one. Cause then I, or know the market. And then I got 5 different DMs of realtors oh my gosh, I lost out in 5, last weekend, or I'm in the same boat.
They don't see that all the people are losing offers as well.
I think our clients also might think that, and they think we're the only ones they're the only ones we're focusing on, where we're listing and selling and buying, and so we might be creating content for them, but we're also doing pre-listing packaging for a different client, and photography, and making flyers for open houses, and so we're literally wearing 500 marketing hats for
definitely.
Social media is so hard to keep up with right now. I feel like we're chasing our tail on creating reels that you have to be so different, unique, and then also content and stories.
It's a full-time job.
Social media is literally changing every day. Instagram is now trying to be coined more as a video platform versus photo, and so knowing that, and it's okay, how do you keep your views going on Instagram? You're having to create these fun little videos and keep them under a minute, and it's knowing that kind of thing is part of our job too, to stay relevant. Yeah.
Definitely.
So that's number one, was creating marketing materials on multiple channels. The second thing that we're doing kind of behind the scenes is feverishly negotiating your multiple offers. So yes, of course, we're working with you directly when we get, an offer, or if you're on the buy side, we're working with you to present a competitive offer. But behind the scenes, we're running comparables, we're running net sheets, we're talking to agents to get them, to make the offer or to even show the property. So we're making those phone calls, we're making things happen to try to get those multiple offers.
Yeah. And I think most, as you just listed, are kind of on the seller side, but on the buyer side, same thing. We're calling that agent ahead of time saying, what terms is your client looking for specific? What do they need? But also, what would sweeten the deal on top of that? How many offers do you have? Can you tell me, do you have 2 or do you have 22? Like, we're doing all those conversations too. And I think, a lot of times my buyers know that I'm connecting with the listing agent on the buy side, but they don't necessarily know what that conversation entails. And it's really, all of us do this way. We just try to get the listing agent to talk as much as possible. The more that they talk, the more information we're going to get.
Absolutely. I keep them on the phone as long as I can.
Do you guys also contact the listing agent before you do showings? So like on Saturdays, some days before I go show a house, I'll even reach out, be like, hey, I have a pre-approved client. I'm reaching out to every single agent, telling them that. So I touch base with them before I even submit a contract. That way they've already heard from me. They know I'm going to show their property. They know my client's pre-approved and interested. And then when you circle back to them, they're already like, oh, you've already created.
Yeah.
Think of the word.
Yeah, you've already built that connection and established rapport.
So we're doing that for every client, for every showing, every weekend.
So definitely. Communicating with the agent is so important. And I think we've all gotten offers accepted just from, our terms are good, but just from being a good communicator and staying on top of it.
We may be second or third strongest offer, but because of our rapport that we're able to build, we get the offer pushed
they
over the line.
literally are saying because you're so good at communicating, I know it's going to make it easier.
And
that
all
was,
that.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, that was like the one where the 01 agent said, you write a good offer, kiddo.
Yeah.
And that was like, oh,
So
thank
proud.
you. I know. I'm like, thank you.
I think also people don't see on the buy side for new homes. We also have rapport with agents to get you on, or sales associates to get you on wait list hire and do that kind of stuff. So not only are we talking to listing agents, we're also talking to builders and their sales teams and just kind of everyone.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
We do everything.
So then number 3.
Thank you. The number 3, the third, is attend your home inspection and follow up for repairs and negotiate those repairs and get estimates from vendors. So, of course, we're there to kind of, I feel like in a way, well, the inspector that I use a lot of the times, I don't have to do this for. Let's say a lot of agents, I feel like, translate kind of what the inspector says to what does this mean to their client in everyday life. I'm really fortunate and you use the same inspector a lot.
Yes.
He is fantastic to where he kind of explains everything, but then he basically breaks down to, if I were in your shoes as the buyer, this is what I would want to be fixed before I move in. And so it makes it really crystal clear, and he really is really straightforward and honest about, you don't really need to worry about this versus this is something I would actually worry about.
Yeah, he keeps it, he talks in layman's terms and, does not freak the buyer out. And, if you have ever looked at an inspection report, it is so long and can be really overwhelming.
Yeah.
Even if you're
It's
used to the verbiage, on the agent side, it just takes a lot of time to go through it, but he does these summary bullet points, which I always appreciate.
And I know one of these we'll talk about in a minute is education, but I think with inspections in general, or knowing what's normal, what's not, what needs to be more important that we look into further, knowing that we're constantly staying on top of okay, there's foundation issues. Obviously, that's a bigger concern. What's our next step? Knowing that is part of our job too.
Right.
Yeah. Behind the scenes.
And to communicate that to the other agent with, there's an art to
effectively, yes.
So effectively, without also giving them leverage to where they can go to another offer. So it's a fine line of giving them enough information to where you can get the repair requested and you can negotiate it or get a value, some sort of value assessed to that so that you can get that instead, versus giving them too much information to where then you seem like you're a pain and they don't want to work with you or your client, and they're going to instead just turn around and go to another offer and say if we decline all these, would you be able to move forward? It's it's a fine line to negotiate that.
Yeah. And I want to add in on this, I guess one of the behind the scenes is even with appraisals, for example, one of the things we're doing kind of behind the scenes with them is we're preparing information to help with the value. So we're helping with comparables, we're providing them with the most recent updates. We're trying to communicate our best, but like Jake said, there's a limit of over communicating sometimes with an appraiser to where you don't like make them mad that
Right.
we're
Yeah.
trying to do their job.
Right.
So like knowing that, but also like behind the scenes, we're kind of helping facilitate that.
It's a great point.
Yeah.
Cool.
So-
Number 4, draft and proof documents for your closing, working with the lender and title to get these docs in time and check for any title issues and the accuracy of it, all of that.
Yeah, so one of the big things we're kind of doing behind the scenes, because I don't really think, I tell my clients like, hey, I'm going to be working with the lender and the title company to do these, but I don't bore them, I guess you could say,
Right. Yeah.
with all the like details of everything we do, because it's not necessary. If we need you kind of thing to sign something, move something, ask questions, like we're going to involve you.
Right.
But there's little things that we're doing along the way, and a lot of that is like Brandie said, like making sure we're on time with these documents. That's probably the number one thing. So just checking in with them, seeing have we gotten the title docs back, because those might take a little longer, but we're just making sure that we're staying on top of it. So
Right.
Making sure like the closing disclosure is
matches.
yeah,
Yeah.
because sometimes there can be errors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always checking with title to make sure we're hitting deadlines. So it's like if
Yeah.
I know HOA information has to be back in 14 days, and that can sometimes take up to 10 business days. And I know like on third or fourth day of contract, I'm like checking in with them saying like, hey, have HOA docs been ordered? Like I'm making sure they're all fantastic about hitting deadlines. But again, to help me feel better then where I can communicate to the client, I'm checking all
Yeah.
those deadlines or those
Yeah.
deadlines. Dateline. I'm checking all those
Dateline. I love
deadlines
Dateline.
for us as well.
I need to start BCCing my clients in every communication so they
Yeah,
can
so they can see
see.
the million.
Do you think that would be
Emails.
good or bad?
I mean,
I think
I don't, because
no.
it is like a need to know basis. Like I don't
Right.
want to, like, we'll get into it here in a minute, but like I don't want to stress my client out over something they don't need to be worried about. The reason they hired me is to do this communication and
Right.
kind of see, like, I don't want them to get involved in some of it, because
Yeah.
like, let me do my job, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So if they feel like they're in it on the day to day, like then all of a sudden they're gonna call me, ask me questions, they're gonna add more, and I'm just saying that, like, so
Right.
Definitely.
yeah, things they don't need to know, because that's what we're here for.
Okay, the 5th one is writing competitive offers. This is a big one. Staying up to date with market trends, bouncing ideas off with other agents. We have an ongoing group text, all of
Oh,
us,
yeah.
of just, hey, what have you been doing lately to get creative? Because this market is just crazy right now. We don't have any inventory. And so just talking with other agents about, competitive offers, what we can do.
Yeah.
Are you guys submitting family letters still?
Absolutely not.
I-
Track
Have
is.
you stopped?
I feel
Yeah.
passionately about absolutely
I know
not.
you do.
So I'm telling my
haven't.
buyers, like,
It-
if you want to send one, like, you can. The buyer can. If buyer
Yeah.
wants to drop it off on their front
Yeah.
porch or whatever, they can do that.
And
I
I
just
do.
have to stay out of it, because they can come back on me to,
Even if it says something
they can
so
do it
simple
themselves.
as our family is, you've immediately already gone against fair housing.
Right,
Family,
yeah.
familial status is a protected class.
Yeah.
yeah.
So you can't, I mean, there's
Yeah.
so everyone
That's-
listening, there's like a lot of like legality reasons why we as agents and why a lot of like the multiple listing associations or boards really across the country have started to say those letters cannot be used. They run the risk of putting you in trouble for housing issues.
yeah.
I took a CETA course over the summer, and I forget what they said, but they were like going back and forth. This instructor and this other person, the agent, was saying what you said, but then the instructor, it's very,
Yeah.
So the whole
it's,
Houston has already gotten rid of them. So it's like that's a huge MLS for Texas. So it's only a matter of time.
right.
yeah.
Well, it's one of those things that, again, they want the agent to stay out of it, because Trek is on us, or like the
Right.
ethics code, like we have to follow. If our client wants to submit that letter and go to them directly, like we can't stop them to do that. But if they feel like the sellers are not choosing their offer because of something, they know about the buyer, we're out of the picture. So it wasn't us that kind of like promoted that.
And our
Yeah.
listing in our office has already had an issue with it. So it's
Yeah.
like I'm like,
Oh, really? Okay.
wash my
Or
hands of it,
tell them
not dealing
no.
with it. And I
Okay.
got to hear
I don't even tell
our
my
broker's
clients about
opinion
it
on it.
anymore.
Yeah.
On the seller side, I typically don't.
Well,
pursue
with
them.
the current market, I think that's where it's gotten, like the competitive market, like that's where it's getting
Yeah.
hard.
Right.
I was going to say something
And
about like
unfair.
writing competitive offers. It's kind of one of those things where, again, like we talked, like you mentioned, like we've got a group chat, but it's also knowing like we all know like right now 1% earnest money like used to be typical, like that's not competitive. So it's like you said, like staying up with trends
Right.
Mhm.
is like really important, so that you, as you're writing those offers, like like okay, like I really can't do
3%.
that anymore. Like this is
Gosh.
what's reasonable.
See,
Right.
but yeah, I mean,
And there are
earnest money
times,
they
like,
get back no matter what, and I found like writing offers. I used to like have them do 2-3%,
Yeah.
but I mean, at this point, we've been just upping options.
So
Yeah.
I've
But-
also been doing is talking to my title company and my lender and asking them what they're seeing get
Right.
accepted
Mhm.
because they don't see the
that's smart.
contract. They don't see a contract until it's accepted. So like,
Right.
what are you guys seeing on that end?
What did they
What's-
say?
I mean, yeah, they're saying higher earnest money, appraisal
they should be
waivers
doing
are
that.
for sure a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, duh,
Did
yeah.
you see there was a listing the other day, and they said they would not even look at the list, not look at the offers if you didn't have full appraisal waiver.
And see, that's not
Yeah.
legal for an
Yeah,
agent to
you
say.
can't
I
say
was
that.
shocked. We couldn't look at it because I cannot put my client in that situation.
Well, technically you can, and you can still submit an offer. And if that agent does not
Mm-hmm.
present,
Present it.
they're
Yeah.
legally required. I mean, legally or ethically,
I
it's code of conduct.
think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But
So if you have to present every offer, and I've even been told in class, even if an agent calls and gives you a verbal offer, that is still technically an
Yeah.
offer, even in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
You still have to present it. I mean, it would not be valid until it was written
It's-
and executed on a contract.
it's a fine line because you have to do what your seller wants ultimately. So did your seller say that they only
Mhm.
wanted people with full?
Right.
Because if they said that, that's fine. But if you're the one presenting that to the seller, it's a little bit different.
Right. If you tell your seller, like, hey, we really need to have an appraisal waiver on all of these, that's not really, your seller's not really saying that. You're telling
You
her.
told-
Exactly.
You're mandating that,
You're
which is
putting that in their head.
totally inappropriate. Every time I see
Yeah.
that in the MLS, I
know.
get so angry,
No.
and it's like one of those things where it's like, I want to turn people in for it.
I mean,
but
completely.
Yeah.
I mean, we could not even look at the
So
listing.
awful.
It's so
Maybe-
sad.
Yeah.
And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Trek starts cracking down on some of that because
Good.
I'm like, if you're, I'm not going to say the word, but if you are willing to put that in the MLS that you're possibly breaking
You're doing
that
other
rule,
things,
it's
too.
like you're,
Yeah.
you're probably not an agent I want to work with anyways.
Right.
so clearly one of the things we do behind the scenes is like we stay ethical. We're
Yes.
like the
Yeah,
ethical
I'm like-
police.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't.
no, we
If you
do.
tell
But
how
it is
passionate we
true.
are about it, because it's like it's already a crazy game to play, so it needs to be at least fair.
Fair. Yeah.
Right.
100%. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so the next thing we're kind of doing behind the curtain is we're scouting out properties to show you in person. So we're doing this in like several ways. I know all four of us and a lot of agents were contacting for sell by owners. We're talking to expired properties, which, you know, there's not a ton out there, but we're still reaching out to them. Homeowners in general, like we're communicating with them. We use what are called golden letters to try and get, you know, some interested people to sell their properties to you. Lease listings, so properties that are like for lease, we're going in and we're contacting those agents and asking them, hey, do you think your seller would be, or your landlord would be willing to sell? So that's been kind of successful. We're also doing emails to other agents with the buyer criteria. And of course, I feel like this is kind of the number one thing. We're networking like at all times. So like we're constantly trying to stay in the know of like what's coming up. And oh, this person said like, hey, we're thinking about selling, you know, in the next 3 months. And if I know like I have a buyer coming up that's in that criteria, like I'm keeping those in my pipeline, if you will, or on my list of like ones to like consider as a possibility for that buyer. So we're constantly scouting out properties to show you not just the ones that are on the MLS.
Right, because also we just don't have any inventory, so we're having to really think creatively
Mm-hmm.
to
And
find
farm.
housing.
And farming, we're always
Yes.
sending. I'm always sending flyers out quarterly to say, hey, I have someone interested in your neighborhood, your home. Like, are you willing? So golden letters are kind of different than flyers, and so I think
Yeah,
it's another thing we're doing.
postcards.
Yeah, for
there's
sure.
all kinds of things of, just any creative way we can find any additional.
Housing.
Yeah, I mean, it worked
Yeah.
for me. I just closed an off-market listing, so there's all kinds of things, and
Yeah.
it was the easiest transaction I've had in so long because we weren't negotiating against anyone. I showed the house next door, and we wanted to put an offer in it, but we just were not gonna be able to get it before the deadline. And so then my clients had like been to an open house in that neighborhood. They had kept the card of the agent. So it's like I called that agent and was like, do you know of any other listings coming up in the neighborhood? She's like, I actually used to live in the neighborhood. I handle a lot of the transactions over here. What are your clients looking for? We went over my client's needs. She said, there's only going to
Love
be
it.
3 homes that will fit. Let me start calling. She called.
Oh, that is so helpful
One of
of
them
her.
said, she's like,
When she got
one of them said,
Yeah.
we're not planning on sale, but if you could get us this number, and that number was within our range. She's like, and that client was like, we're not planning on moving, but if you could get us this number. So she said, why don't you guys walk the property? You let me know what you think you guys, like what your clients would be willing to do offer wise. And so then we did. And it was like, this is what we would do. And it was matched perfectly. We were done. Like
Love
That's
it.
awesome.
everyone was happy. So it's like, if you can find those properties and work it off market right now, it is heaven on earth, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So.
Love it.
All right, so number
7.
7. We also just check in to say hello and see how you're feeling. We are pretty much therapists in between our therapy sessions with each other and our professional therapists. We are your therapist.
Yes.
We're also your cheerleaders for your, big life milestones. So we'll check in when you have your baby or when you get that promotion and congratulate you. I think all of us really become close with our clients. So it's one of those things where we're friends kind of in a way. And we, and then also for clients, we're also checking in on you to make sure that your mindset is positive while you're in this crazy market and that you kind of don't get too beaten down by the waves that are crashing into you.
Yeah,
for
sure. Yeah,
I think we can also, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay, go ahead.
We also can tell when our buyers are getting worn down.
Mm-hmm.
I've had times where we just literally need a weekend break.
Yeah.
And during this weekend, if homes come available, I'll still go preview a home, but you need to step away for a day or two. And if I preview this home, I've seen 30 with you. This is the one I think is something you're going to love. And then I'll call you back and we can do it together. But I'm going to give you this 3-day span to literally just disconnect. I have your back. I'm still doing it. I'll call you if I need you. But just to... It's hard.
We're like therapist, cheerleader, life preserver.
Yeah.
We're not just real estate agents.
Yeah.
We wear lots of hats.
We do. We're marketer, we're business owner.
Yeah.
I mean, list goes on and on and on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, number 8 is being a cushion when under contract. So we figure out issues before bringing them to you as the client. And that's something I think we all do together is we'll call each other and be like, oh my gosh, this is happening. How do we help each other?
Yeah.
And we'll handle it by ourselves. And when it's done, we've already fixed the problem. Be like, hey,
FYI, this popped up and it's already taken care of. Yeah.
Right.
If I need to tell you, I'll tell you. But if we fixed it and saved the day, you just kind of move along.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned this. There's a reason our clients hire us. And, if they wanted to do this on their own, there certainly are those options where they could. But we are the buffer, and the filter, I guess, is a better way to say it. We filter out. We present to you the stuff that you're on a need-to-know basis, what you need to know, and we're going to take care of everything else, and we'll relay that information when it's needed.
Yeah, and we kind of take some emotion out of it, too. I mean, it's already,
100%.
We understand, it is stressful to sell and buy a house right now and be worrying on that side. So having us, we're definitely pulling some of that emotion out. If an agent calls us and is like, there's no way they're going to make those repairs, tell your buyer to screw off.
That's me.
when you're working with Jake on the office. But then, we get those agents that call us and they tell us that. And we're like, well, we're not going to actually tell our clients they said this because this is going to piss them off.
Yeah, exactly.
So we filter through that and we say, okay, Mr. Buyer, so they weren't pleased with what we did. But here's what I think we should do. Yeah. Or I walk through, with the agent and try to again, work it out before I'm even bringing it to you.
Right.
So
Yeah. Okay. The 9th one is preparing your listing for the market. So scheduling the staging appointment, helping you figure out how to get your home show ready and schedule professional photography, prepping flyers, marketing materials.
On and on.
MLS input. Yeah. Organizing timelines so you know exactly when we're going to go live.
And before that happens, you're talking with your client, going to their house, previewing the home, emailing them,
getting the
checklists, signing
the
listing agreement.
There's
and
so
we're
many moving
literally
parts.
now having to check comps into the day we go live.
Yeah.
I'm like, what I presented to you even 2 weeks ago at our listing appointment, because there's a little bit of time between your listing appointment when you actually go live, typically. And so it's what I presented to you then, we may have had 3 comps sell in that time period, and it could have gone up, So it's we're having to check that
100%.
literally sometimes over and over and over.
I have a listing coming in April, and I've sent them every month on the 1st. I send them an updated CMA because this
That's a
is
good
how
idea.
it's kind of looking now. And then before we list again, like you said, even the day before, we're going to run comps and make sure that we're putting out a price that's not only fair for you, but
Yeah, for sure. I
Definitely.
mean, there's so many steps to getting your house ready to put on the market.
So many
And again,
steps.
we're showing you the results of those efforts.
Yeah.
You're not seeing all the behind the scenes of everything else that we're doing.
And I think one of the things we mentioned, and you said the words MLS input, and that probably just that just sounds like one task. That in itself is
It's
something that is so
many steps.
Yeah, so many
Between the
steps.
measurements
Yeah,
and-
it's you have to measure all the rooms. You have to
Yes.
know all kinds of different systems and things like that are in the house. You have to know. I mean, it's a lot of information to get entered. So it's not necessarily that it's difficult, but it can be time consuming.
Very
Yeah.
time consuming.
Yeah.
That part is very tedious.
Yeah, for sure. And which kind of brings us into the next one. So attending classes, I think this is really important. And I think people could be like, wait, so you get your real estate license and you still have to learn? Yes, not only do we have to keep up with our licensing. So we do have to take classes to keep our licensing active. But things are everly changing. We don't know everything. Nobody's ever going to know anything. Unless you're Jake.
Yeah, Jake's
I know it all.
Apparently. But things, because of how much things are changing, clearly, like we're talking about, like with the MLS input, like knowing what's the difference between, you know, a traditional and a colonial home. Like we need, you know, you got to know those things. So we're constantly taking classes, staying up to date on like contracts. Contracts change like, I mean, I have changed like probably 5 times in the last like 3 years at least. The market, keeping up with the market. I mean, right, we talked about that in another episode recently, and then just changes in our industry, how things are affecting like our clients and buyers and our industry as a whole. So constantly attending classes to
well, even
stay
like
relevant.
the MLS changes, like even like coming up like next month, like March 1st, you know, that's like, or, you know, it's like there is, or has been that change now. So to where condos and townhomes are going to be different, which I'm actually excited for that. I know I probably work with condos.
Has it changed as of like a couple days ago?
Well, like once this is out, it will have, yes.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I was like trying to give you the eye.
Gotcha.
But you know, so it's like I work with condos a lot, and so there are times where people are wanting to look at either a condo or a townhouse, and so I'm like looking forward to that. So, but yeah, so again, like classes, like just staying up to date on all of that.
Yep, for sure.
And then is it me?
It's actually Jake.
Oh, hello. Well, I also was just surprised because I thought we're just continuing on.
Well, I added some on there.
So number 11, the 10 plus 2 things that behind the scenes.
That I didn't tell them I put last minute.
We also network with others in the industry. So not just other agents, you know, that is great because like agent rapport and like those relationships are really paramount, especially in a crazy market. But we also like to build our team of trusted professionals. So that's going to be the lenders that we work with, the title companies that we use, vendors, so roof company, pool company, septic guys, I mean, all kinds of things. You know, there's just always people that you need like in your corner that you know that you can trust and are going to take care of us and our clients really well. So I think that's really important.
And I feel like we're constantly evaluating that because I mean, we're putting people on our list or, you know, our whatever preferred list, and we're taking them off just as quickly too. If it's not working out, client's not happy.
Right. And I feel like that's also another one, like I a lot of times will get a good vendor from either another agent or from another vendor. So like my lender has handed me off to like a really good title person before. And he's like, hey, like I do a lot of my refinances with this title person. They're fantastic. You should meet them. And vice versa. I've gotten a lender from a title rep. So I think that's all those relationships are important.
Yep. And then our final thing.
Business activities, budgeting, P&Ls, systems to use for businesses.
Of course you added this one.
So as we were talking, I'm like, we're business owners too.
Yeah.
So aside from us just being a real estate agent, like we're literally running a business. So the things that a business owner has to do is we do have to keep in mind budget, because if you don't know, like our commission pays for these marketing expenses and
taxes
everything else.
And splits with our brokerage.
Yeah, we have to do the P&Ls. We got to pay our own taxes. I mean, those are huge.
What are taxes?
Ugh, the devil. I hate them.
Oh my gosh. I know.
But just what do business owners do? I mean, we talked about marketing. That's part of business, being a business owner. And then systems that we're using for our business. And it's not just to make us more efficient as agents, but like what systems are we using to help our clients, you know, get the most for their house and find other properties. So it's like really just being a business owner. So
I think that's huge.
I think what's so different about our career over maybe 9 to 5 or something else is that we are working 24/7.
Yeah.
And you said it best, Jake, a few months ago. You said everyone gets into real estate to have the flexibility, but the only flexibility we have is around our clients. So whether it's our selling or our buying clients, we're working around their work schedule, which means like, yes, we might be able to go to workout class at 10 a.m., but we're working from 12 until midnight. So I think that's something else our clients might not see. Like my clients know to expect that I have small children at home. So my best time to get work done is from 8 p.m. until midnight, and then from 6 a.m. to 9 and so a.m. So there's just, we do have that flexibility, but it's around our clients. So.
Right. And not even the physical things that we go to for our clients, but I just was thinking like the brain power it takes. Like I'm constantly like, when I lay my head down at night, all of a sudden all the great marketing and business ideas come to mind. And I'm like in the shower. Like everything comes to mind. So it's like, it's a constant thing, and it just takes over so much brain power because we're always trying to better ourselves, always be the best agent for our clients, stay up to date. There's just so many things. So I feel like that's a huge part of behind the scenes. It's like constantly thinking about y'all.
We
Yeah,
have like in our house when Pat's home, I'll tell him like, hey, like usually dinner, we cook dinners together as a family. But if I have if I possibly have a
contract
negotiation, there's I don't know why I have blanks right there. I'll tell him like, hey, I know normally like we cook dinners together, but I might have to leave. And so like that's something that people might not understand is like I'm stopping dinner with my kids cooking to like negotiate for you, and I want to do that. I love it, but like we don't have that like, oh well, don't call me later.
It's 5 o'clock.
Like, it doesn't stop, and so that brain power, like you said, like we're always thinking and praying and hoping. And I was waiting on a deadline yesterday until 11 o'clock, waiting to hear back from a contract. So it's like we love it, but it's every day.
It's addicting.
I think it's an important thing
addicting.
to know too for the people around us. One. But also for clients, I have clients that will apologize for like having to get an offer done by a certain time, and I'm like, that's literally my job. Like, there's absolutely no reason to apologize. And then like on the flip side of that, I always make sure like my friends and whoever's around me like kind of know like it's normal for me. Like you may be sitting down for dinner, but like there's a deadline of 6 p.m. So at like if my clients just decided at 4 that we're gonna write that offer from 4 to however long it takes us to get terms finalized and get the offer written and signed and submitted, I'm working on that.
Right.
So it's like that's what our job is for.
I know you did this the other day, Jake, but I had like back-to-back appointments on Sunday, and then the clients, I didn't have time to submit an offer before the deadline, so I had it drafted because I wouldn't have been able to
I pre-drafted
it
it.
in time. Which you gotta do.
Saved,
You gotta do.
I had the entire offer written, just minus basically price.
Yeah,
and I knew all the other terms that we've been using, so it's like I had it pre-written before, and thank God we did because I ended up using it.
Yeah,
so.
same.
Well, that's like, I never leave without my computer.
Oh yeah.
Or at least my iPad.
If I'm work out or go meet someone for coffee, like my computer and a charger in my car. Like, because you never know. Like yesterday, literally in the Whole Foods parking lot was writing an offer. So
I've done one in my car before too.
We just are always on the go and always working hard for you.
Yeah, we could probably do a whole episode about like boundaries and stuff. But like what Jake was saying, like people call me and like I was up till like 10 o'clock last night. Executing a contract, and my seller's like, I'm so sorry, we're having to work. And I'm like, no, like if I didn't want to, like I would tell you. Like I would set that boundary, and I've been really good about setting boundaries where if it doesn't have to get done until the next day, then you're not going to hear from me after a certain hour. But if it does, like it's totally fine. Like that is our job.
But a contract and an offer, that's one of those things where it's like
It's time sensitive.
It's time sensitive, but then especially like once terms are agreed upon, you don't want to wait until the next day to sign. It's like get it under contract, get it executed, get it done.
But if you send me a property and you're like, hey, can you look into this? That doesn't have to get done at 10 o'clock at night. Yeah.
Lindsay has a good piece of advice. She told me when I started real estate, she was like, as a realtor, I'm willing to do I'll stop anything for a money-making activity. And so she was like, if I am like at the grocery store, but someone calls me to see a house that could make you money, like I'll like do that. So I think that's a good rule of thumb too. It's like, if it can make us money, we'll stop what we're doing and do it. But if it's something like, hey, can you show me this property? Which I guess that long term could make you.
Yeah.
But
I think it's more along the lines of, not
to
just
me, it's
making
like
money,
it comes with a timeline. It's like if it's something attached to a deadline or time sensitivity, I will work on that. If it is something that
can wait,
time is not of the essence, then it's not
Yeah.
essential that it gets added to my calendar.
Right.
Then.
Time
Yeah.
is of the essence.
Definitely think it's more along those lines. But those are all the things. I mean, those are the ones we
are
thought
some
of.
All the few things.
Yeah, just
those
a
are a
few.
few of all the things.
And then we drink a lot. No, I'm just kidding.
Go to therapy a lot.
Yeah.
Cry a lot.
Cry a lot.
Yeah.
But, you know.
But no, and it's like we wanted to bring up this episode kind of as like, the point of the podcast is to show you kind of like this side of the transaction, what we deal with and what we're doing. So this was such a good topic to show you that and also let you know, like, we love doing all this too. So
sorry.
But we don't give you the 411 of every little step of something we're doing.
Yeah, you don't need it.
So you don't need it. And that's not your job. That's ours. So hopefully that helps. But yeah.
All right.
Bye, guys.
See you next week.
See you next week.